Welcome to the NFT show live on the Defiant, 23rd of September. And as the rest of the market collapsed in flames, one project slept well at night. I'm of course talking about the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Welcome to the NFT show. Who have we got on the line? Alp Gazimov. Who have we got here?
That's me, Alp G.
And who else? Who else is in the studio with us? Bring them in. Bring them in. We have.
Hey guys, Josef Rakich here.
Josef Rakich. Oh, wow. And Simon Wan, my usual companion who appears to be drinking coffee, is joining us for the first time. Thank you, Josef. If you don't know him, he's a personal trainer and social media personality from Auckland, New Zealand. It's 1:30 a.m. for him there, and he made himself a name as an online personal trainer. He's a big following on social media, but now he is buying NFTs and with eggs.
Fail. How you doing, man? I saw this the other day. I enjoyed this clip because of the Lambo. Yeah.
Nailed it.
I want to ask about that clip. Was that a real house?
It was a real house, but it wasn't a real scenario. So what happened?
Don't say that.
Don't break it. Don't break it. Don't break the illusion. This is entertainment.
I had my wife up in the top window throwing the egg out to me. So I got no idea where the first egg went.
So hang on a minute. So you're saying you got a Lambo, you got a house, and a wife, and 2 eggs, mate.
He's living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream, brother. And also, your arms are way bigger than mine. I think it must be your lens for some reason.
I think it's the angle.
Well, Joseph, thanks very much for joining us. There's a reason I got you on the show. It's because you have amassed a pretty significant social media following. You're someone that people follow specifically for fitness. We have a picture of you. I mean, it's proper Steve Rogers stuff, this. If we can see what Joseph used to look like back in the day.
Of that.
There we go. This is before and after Joseph Rakich. Like I say, it's like this is proper Captain America stuff.
There's a before and after here. Hang on, that's no good. I'm taking this top off.
This is like proper Captain America stuff. So Joseph, tell us a little bit about your journey from being this skinny kid to being an influencer and someone that people follow for specifically fitness and wellness and bodybuilding, that kind of thing, and how you've got to where we are now with this kind of passion for NFTs.
Yeah, so basically I was a skinny kid all through high school, just skin and bones. Always loved sport, loved cross country, loved soccer, football, as you call it. But I was never into gym or weights. When we had weights room at school, I always, forgot my gym clothes. But then funnily enough, I guess I grew up, I got into the gym. It started off as just, something to do, hang out with my mates. I started to see my physique change. And when I started to see my physique change, that kind of motivated me to take it more serious with my diet and my training. And from there, I guess it became my passion. And then later on, my career. So my career in the fitness industry, it basically started off with me just posting pictures online of my own transformation and what I achieved. I was doing this on like a bodybuilding forum. People would ask me, oh, what was your workout like? What was your diet like? So I used to help them for free. And it kind of got to the point where so many people were asking that I thought I could, offer a service and charge for these meal plans and workout programs. So I set up a basic website. I was doing that, and I went and got a job as a personal trainer. So I was working in the gym as a personal trainer, training clients one-on-one. Eventually, the online stuff just got too busy that I couldn't do the in-gym personal training anymore. So I went full-time online, and I understood that in order for me to get more clients, I had to get more exposure, and social media was the best way to do that. So I was filming videos for YouTube, Facebook, Instagram came along, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok now. And I guess I've just used all the social media platforms to try and gain exposure and get my name out there more. And as I've done that, I've seemed to build a pretty decent community, I think. I've had over 155,000 clients worldwide, and the goal is 1 million.
Well, this is a lesson here, because you're building a community around a pretty well-tested and well-known product. In the NFT space, we have to build a community around something that most people don't really understand. They don't really know anything about. What struck me about you is that you have stood up, put your hand up, and become very vocal in the communities in which you're active to help people participate, to share knowledge, and to really stir up enthusiasm and be, don't want to use the word cheerleader, but someone whose enthusiasm is infectious. And it's been striking how quickly you've gotten there. And I'm curious how you got into NFTs and why you gravitated towards the particular projects that you have done.
Yep. So I heard about NFTs, some time ago, and I kind of thought it was a little bit weird. It's like, wait, people pay money for a picture online.
Yeah.
I literally had the idea, can't you just screenshot it?
Yep, you can.
I didn't understand it then. I literally remember telling my parents about NFTs, and I said, whatever you do, don't ever let me buy an NFT. But then here in New Zealand, we went into lockdown. We were COVID free, but we got one case, so we went into lockdown. We've got more cases now. So during lockdown, I started, doing a bit more research about NFTs and trying to understand it and just learn what, it was all about and why there was so much hype and demand. And after doing that, I realized, and I started to understand, and I started to see, like, people want to have a punk or a Bored Ape, almost as a thing of status or to flex, for that recognition. And I understood that. And I think I'm pretty good at, observing human behavior. I could see there was the demand. And then it just made sense to me that this is the right place for me to make an investment. I invest in land, property, businesses, never ever got, and crypto, but never ever got into the NFT side of things. So I thought, this is a space that I think I understand pretty well without learning everything about NFT. What I mean by that is I understand human behavior. I understand supply and demand. I'm good at looking at communities. I'm good at seeing what people want. So I felt like I was pretty good to be able to determine what's a good project and what isn't. So I saw the Bored Apes. I felt like that was going to blow up. So I bought one at 24.5 Ethereum. And now it's around 40 floor, I think, 40 Ethereum. 38 floor, sorry. And yeah, I've just been dabbling in it ever since, looking at different communities. I bought a bunch of ducks, sup ducks. I'm a big fan of those sup ducks. Reason being, I just think they look cool. And I can see the aesthetic in them. I can see other people would want them. They've got a big community. Everyone.
You're pretty clear on you want to flog them for 20 ETH each, I can see.
I love them. But if someone pays 20 ETH, they're gone. They're gone, mate.
I put that price there because I don't want to sell them.
You'd take the ETH. You'd take
but
the ETH.
If they pay me 20 ETH, I'll sell it.
We're not in it for the money, we're in it for the money.
Yeah.
So let me ask you quickly then. So what was it that got you into the Bored Apes? You say you brought your Bored Ape in at a kind of a mid in its lifetime ETH price. So what was the first...
we can look at this for realsies. Right down here, 24.5 ETH.
So what was it that? What was the date on that? Let's have a look. So was it Twitter hype? Was it Instagram hype?
It says a month ago, August 21st. So it's exactly a month ago.
So that was when it was everywhere. Yeah.
10 days before Mutants.
Yeah, before Mutants. I just saw the hype. I saw everyone on Twitter. I saw the community there. I joined the Discord. And I just felt like this was the one. So I felt pretty confident in my decision, and I thought if I buy one at 24.5 Ethereum, I'm pretty certain that I can probably double that at some point. And I accepted the fact, if I lose it, that's okay. Not that I ever want that to happen. But
should we just take a moment here just to think about what we're saying here, which is 24.5 ETH is a rational investment level for a JPEG of a project that was only at that point 4 months old, of which the original price was 0.08 ETH. 0.08 ETH. Let that sink in for a second. This is testimony to just how successful the Bored Apes has been. I understand when you say it felt like it was the one. Oh, and we'll go back to Bored Apes later on because they released that roadmap this week. It's very, very interesting. But I mean, the Bored Apes is it seems like it was an entry point for you. Subbed Up's next. What I'm loving here is I'm seeing a fluff, but I'm also seeing a world of women. There's a story behind this one, is there not?
So I didn't plan to get it, but I've got a wife. And she looks pretty.
He has a wife, everyone. Cool down. He's spoken for. All right.
And she looked pretty identical to that World of Woman. Even with the mole just above her lip, the hair. So yeah, I decided.
Is this like a Jessica Rabbit thing where she's like a cartoon and you're like?
I mean, dude, I've got pens. I'm an artist. Send me a photo. I'll draw a picture, and you can chuck me 20 ETH. It's fine. I'll do it exactly like her.
And I also see the World of Woman as something that could go a lot higher,
But is that the right reason to own it? Let's be totally honest here, because I guess you're looking at this as an investment decision. It's perfectly possible to want these things and own these things without it being anything to do with an investment decision, which is there is something of value. You said that there's a story and a connection to your wife here. Does the price matter at that point? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this depends on
the main underlying reason why I'm in this NFT space is to make money. But the money does matter, but that's perfectly fine. At least you're honest. Yeah.
At least you're honest.
I think the money matters to most people. Like I think, for the example, the ducks. I got them, but I don't want to sell them yet. Hence why they're 20 Ethereum. But if someone pays that, then fine.
But there's also a degree to which you signal by putting a price on things. You're saying, okay, step up if you want to buy these things. We as a community value it at X. And they're, particularly in the top 50 of any project, people tend to put ridiculously high prices on things because what happens sometimes is a whale will just come along and say, fuck you, I've got the money and I'm going to show you how it's done. And then they will buy it. It's what happened with the top ranked Meebit, 1,000 ETH, and a DAO came in, bought it, and suddenly the value of Meebits goes up because such a big sale went through. It is just sort of how these communities do things, but it's crazy, right? It's crazy. Yeah.
So I got all my ducks at 0.9 Ethereum. So I think the floor is about 3.6 right now.
Well, don't feel dirty. I'm fiddling through your OpenSea account here. You got this one for 0.17.
Oh no, because I traded for a bundle.
So
if you click on that, you'll probably be able to go into it. So
well, it's like Uncle Pennybags, yeah.
I traded 12.5 Ethereum, I think it was, for 14 ducks.
That's astute. Also, the thing is, I mean, with this whole NFT trading to make the money for the Lambo, you've already got the Lambo. So what? So
yeah,
what
but does he? Do you actually have a Lambo, Joseph?
Yes, I do.
What?
I saw it in your opening video. So
When Lambo, now Lambo.
So what
Lambo.
What are you aspiring to then? So
What is it? Isn't it? Hang on. Stop aspiring. What is it? Is it an Aventador?
No, it's a Huracan.
Oh no,
That's
it's a Huracan. It's only a Huracan, love.
Mate, fuck NFTs. We should be doing some. We'll be doing
six
some
packs. Six
on
packs
Instagram.
gets you Lambos. That's it. That's it.
Well, it's a lot harder to get a 6-pack than it is to buy a duck.
Put that on a t-shirt, flog it, sell it as an NFT. We're done. That's it. Brilliant. Joseph, we're going to come back to more from you. Absolutely. Well, what we normally do at this point is we will go and we'll have a look at the numbers because we want to get a sense of where the market's at, what's going on. $72 million in volume. The trading doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look too bad. Trade volume is well down. And there's this sort of feeling that NFTs are dead. They're not dead. They're redistributing probably. And what's interesting here is the top collection in the last 24 hours is Lost Poets. But second, Cupcats. Cupcats? What on earth is Cupcats? Turns out they're super cute cupcake cats. Who knew? But they've been absolutely smashing it. The lost. Oh look! Even just when I went back, the Cupcats are now top.
Oh, it's a live shift. Shift.
Lost Poets. We're going to come back to. There's a new dashboard that I've discovered. We will link it in the description below from Robert Chen, I believe it is, and that gives us a pretty decent overview of what's going on. OpenSea daily volume dropping down, but I mean, look at the OpenSea monthly fees here. OpenSea have made an absolute killing. Yeah, and there's no dashboard for OpenSea insider trading here. Unfortunately, we can't see how much insider trading is going on. That would be a shame. We covered Nate Chastain last week. Nate Chastain left OpenSea as a result of what happened. He's now living on an island with tigers and
I
don't know. It's
cocktails.
A shame. And this is the currency which we normally look at. It doesn't look great, does it? But if we could draw some kind of support line here, maybe it'll bounce off this and head off again. But $27,000 for a Damien Hirst currency is the last sale on that one at the moment. Now we're going to go and look at some headlines. And I made a whole presentation so we can have a look at some of the big stories.
Like the way you're showing you're working out there, Robin.
Yes. The headlines. What are the big stories that have been happening? Well, PAC at Sotheby's. There was a massive amount of interest yesterday in PAC and the Lost Poets because he opened up his Discord channel, 100 people at a time, blink and you miss it, and everyone piled in. The Collabland bot went completely crazy. They couldn't do anything with it. But he announced something with Sotheby's, or at least Sotheby's themselves did, and he says, we and Sotheby's are on the same page. And this is what happened when Pat did his first Sotheby's sale, $17 million. And it doesn't seem like that much right now. But back then, it was a big, big deal. Another story that came out was the Anonymized. They basically did all on-chain NFTs. These are these mice. 2,000 of them came out for free to mint directly from the contract. And they said, you have stumbled upon a rare gem. They want to show off what's possible with NFTs on the blockchain, not a cash grab. And every single mouse is free to mint. The first 2,000 totally free. So what happened next was the next 8,000 could only be minted through owning a mouse first. So you had to basically invest to get into the ecosystem. You would stake it to generate ETH, and then you could spend that ETH to generate the remaining 8K mice. What this resulted in was a very low number of holders and a very high price. Not sure if that's necessarily the way forward here, but respect for the innovation. That's what this looks like. 3.5 floor price when I looked, and the average price, well, pretty damn crazy. Nifty Gateway started listing PFPs. They put these on their marketplace. You have Cool Cats, you have Fluffs, Wicked Cranium, Subducks is also on there. Then you get the likes of Tyler Winklevoss, who is that Thanos-jawed twin from The Social Network, who might have probably didn't, but could have done, got some money from Facebook. He binge purchased 5 Robotos, and then he says, so sick. I need to work on my NYC crypto bro voice. Yeah, so sick, bro.
Worst film ever, by the way.
It wasn't. You loved it second time round. Stop lying. And then So Rare, $680 million for its fantasy sports NFT game. So Rare locked down contracts with all the major football clubs or soccer ball clubs if you're in the US of A. And of course, then that means they can trade the likes of Messi and Paul Pogba and whoever you want.
I couldn't give a shit about bloody
No,
football
you
cards.
couldn't give a shit, but 680 million pictures of the president could. That is an absolutely massive amount of money for a startup. It is incomprehensibly large, and that is basically a bet on the future of sports NFTs, not just football, soccer ball, but the NFL. We're talking, I don't know what sport you play in Kiwi land. I think it's cricket, rugby.
Rugby. And
Oh,
cricket.
you play rugger. Yeah, it's a bet on all of that stuff. And presumably SoftBank, who invested in it, believe that this is going to be a big deal. And I suspect they're probably right. Just in comparison, Solana, that raised also an enormous amount of money earlier in the year, $314 million. That just gives you some sense of just how big Sorare raises. Sorare is French, by the way. And those were the damn headlines. Anything to report? Joe.
I mean, where's it going to stop though? Before you go in, is it going to be like Sunday 5-a-side NFTs for you? Like each pub
it will be.
It will be. NFT.
It will be because my kids, right? My kids got a booklet, and the booklet said, "Take this booklet around to every house in the neighborhood and get some money for sports." So like you get charity muggers, but they're 5-year-olds knocking on your door going, "Please, give us some money." It's like it's the best scam in town. But it won't in the future. It's going to be mobile apps, so it's going to be kids with mobile phones.
And you'll step and pay.
Give me your ape, or I'll mug you. I'll do you. But it's probably going to end up being that, like local football clubs with their own social tokens, local football clubs with NFTs of the kids. There's going to be all sorts of interesting things coming up.
Can you imagine then on a Sunday afternoon in a town in High Wycombe, there's like a bunch of 30 to 45-year-old men, all with their own NFT, and their team sponsors, like you get a meat pie and a pint of ale if you've joined their Discord. I mean,
but the thing is, we are fundamentally weird because we did a thing that most people can't or won't do, which is we got an Ethereum account, we got an ETH address, and we actually, we took that step. It's not going to be long before that really isn't a big deal anymore. Like, how long did it take for people to pick up WhatsApp and social media? I'm curious, Joe, how
get into it grows faster,
Well, that's network effects. So, I mean, Joe, I'm curious, how far down the rabbit hole have you gone? Because things like Anonymize that's pretty high level stuff. You're minting off the contract. You're minting these things which look, let's be honest, pretty basic, but are incredibly high value. Do you respond to that kind of thing, or is it still a little like, what the fuck?
Yeah, a little bit like, what the fuck? And I don't know. I don't personally like them as much from the aesthetic point of view, and something that's kind of just, I don't like minting anything either, really, because I feel like you don't really know. I like something to get a little bit of traction first, so I can see kind of what's happening, and then I think that makes me have a better informed decision. Yes, I might have to pay a higher price, obviously, but then I'm not just stuck with a whole bunch of things and left holding the bag. And that's the way I do it. And when I look at NFTs, I also I think profile pic potential is very important. Like, I'm not really into the ones that aren't, but I believe there's a huge market for them, obviously. But for me, I just think it's a little bit of a flex and a status thing to have your profile picture as your NFT that you own. And I think that's what drives the price as well, because you want to get into the certain NFT project because you want to be a part of that community or a part of that family. And I think that's a lot more powerful than one that doesn't have profile pic potential. So yeah, that's what I kind of go for.
The profile pic that you use is an ape. Is that a flex? Is that a flex, or is that social signaling for you?
A bit of both.
Yeah. Well, no, I 100% agree with that, because I've used this phrase before when I've tried to explain it to like parents and such. There's two analogies. One is having a Patek Philippe or a Rolex on your wrist, and someone might see it a little bit, but they might not. You got to be in social circumstances, and then it's moved on now to walking into a nightclub. I want a $10,000 table, and I'm going to smash a bottle of 20-gram champagne, and I'm just going to pour it all over myself and give it to people around me. It's a gratuitous flex of wealth. But with these PFPs, and they do have a little more of a restrained community behind them, it's kind of you've got 2 for 1. You are flexing and saying, yo, I've taken a risk, I've got the money to back up that risk I took. I'm also willing to lose it all, because as we all know, within this space, it can all go to shit in minutes. And there's the personality attached to the ones, like you say, that you pick ones you like. So like, I like cats. I'm waiting for my dog thing to turn into a cat, so I'm going to be repping that. Some people like
the beach club
apes.
is what he's talking about.
Yeah. I know Robin likes his sup ducks because it does kind of look like him, like a crazy nutcase duck.
And they're colourful. I don't know. It's just, that's what.
Yeah, they. Well, I think.
Why are you shushing me, Robin?
Because we're not allowed to talk about subducks.
Why?
Because I get a slap on the wrist if I talk too much about subducks.
Oh,
subducks.
Oh no, bollocks to that. There are many other ducks available.
I'm going to put out an idea here, which is there is a big difference between these and a Patek Philippe, because a Patek Philippe, once it's on your wrist, but it doesn't evolve. It cannot change. It is locked in time. An NFT in a PFP community. I could just drop the mic here now, because I've said everything I need to say. No, with an NFT, particularly, we've seen this now with the Kongs, and we've seen it with Bored Apes. You evolve over time into a broader exposure to that ecosystem. So you have a Bored Ape, but then you get a kennel, you get a dog, and then you get a mutant. And there's this sort of growing sort of collection of assets that represent your membership of that community. You don't get that with a Patek Philippe. They don't just drop you another Patek Philippe in 6 months just for lols. Why would they ever do that? But that's the opportunity.
You get a free battery change. So how does it work then? I have had a Bored Ape, and I have had a mutant ape. I now
and you sold them both,
and I swapped one. But you said it a while back to me in private, like that is still there on the blockchain. The fact that I was part of that, I'm like you are from the inner circle. Out
you're indelibly marked on that dog's on that ape's history. Yeah. But what I was going to say was that you're part of a soap opera, and you're part of an ongoing narrative, and I think that's the thing that is not replicable with a Patek Philippe. So it's a very different kind of flex, and you can't fractionalize Cristal champagne. You pour it into glasses and then it's done. But you can fractionalize an ape. For instance, for me, my ape and a lot of the assets that I buy, they're actually for my kids, and I'm putting together like a when they turn 21 box of things that may or may not have any value, but I'm hoping that they will. And
you hope they will. As it's just a USB key full of fucking JPEG. You'd be like, shit.
No, but they love it. Like I get such a kick out of seeing them kind of interested in this stuff. So listen, we've had just so many drops over and over and over. So have there been any drops that you have seen that have got you excited, that you've enjoyed, that made you think, oh yeah, that's cool, that's an interesting idea?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because I've just seen. It's just there is a few, but they're not out yet. Haiku Paradise, Euphoria, and Milk Toast are the 3 ones I like. Haiku Paradise.
Paradise. Let me see if I can bring that up.
It's like a synth wave. This is it, or Asian style, and they're going to be haikus. And I like haikus because they're kind of funny. And you never know, there might be some words of wisdom. But when I look at all the other PFPs and I scroll it down, and how many of them are unique? How many of the communities are going to be amazing? How many physical merchandising can you get? And every time I see one, I'm just like, oh, fuck off. And I tell you what, I am moving away from PFPs a little bit in terms of what I like, just personally, because I don't know what it is. It's a psychological thing, but I like a project. I go into the thing and it's literally copy and paste. It's the same scroll. It's the same. Everything's just the same. And it's a little bit, to me, it's like when rave music sort of suddenly became popular, and it went from warehouse raves to all of a sudden now every tune on the radio or in Woolworths or HMV was a kind of the same thing. It's a new groundbreaker. And I just think the artwork, there's only finite amount of animals that I can see that are pixelated, and that's why I like Milk Toast. Milk Toast is a project that's kind of born from parents looking at their kids' shitty artwork, and at breakfast time.
Is this it? Is this it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that!
I love
look
it.
At that.
I
look
love
at
it.
that Milk Toaster. Well, they're Australian.
Hey.
Sorry, Joe.
Oh, mate.
Well, oh my God, what?
Yeah, I just think that I dig them more than I do all the rest.
It's literally a carton of milk on
toast.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
So random.
There is literally no limit to innovation. I'm gonna riposte to that because you're reducing the value to, I think, a lot of people down to simply the art itself and the copy pasta nature of it. But as we'll see later on when we jump into Bulls on the Block, there is power in the community, and there's power in being part of a group of people that you just get on with and you just jam with. I mean, Sup Ducks, Joe and I have both responded to that community in the same way. It's just it's a fun, respectful community that does cool things, and actually, the art is distinctive. And Frankie seems to know what he's talking about. A couple of drops that I liked this week: fungible tokens. These are hand-drawn animations of skeletons doing cool things. They're just weird. They're very creative, and there's a massive amount of variation. And they exhibit creativity, which I liked. Another one I liked an enormous amount was 10 KTF. These are high tops, which came about because basically if you owned an Oni or a Bored Ape Kennel Club or a Pudgy Penguin or a World of Women, you could wrap your NFT around a sneaker. And the window for this was about 48 hours. But if you owned one of these, you could wrap it, and these just looked cool. So here's a mutant ape done as a high top. Now you can't buy these shoes; they're not like artifact shoes. But there was some suspicion that this was something to do with Beeple. If we go to 10 KTF, you will see why. So in the background, there's this symbol here, and Beeple's We Knew looks like this, if I can find it. So that's the symbol for We Knew. This is Beeple's company that's doing NFTs and things. And we look at that and we compare that to, where is it? Lost it. There it is. It's the same damn symbol. Yeah. It's the same damn symbol.
Well, it's not the same. It's the same logo. It's just upwards. It's the
same. So there was a lot of speculation that Beeple was behind this. And so people got very excited. But actually, I think the reason people liked them was they just turned up. They were quite cheap, and anyone could mint them. And then they shut the window, and that was it, done. So he may open it up again. But I think the fact that you could flex something with an NFT that you valued and they looked cool was cool. Yeah. And that was stuff that I enjoyed. So Joe, I'm gonna call you to task on this tweet. The thing I love about Sup Ducks is any tweet about ducks always gets retweeted a million times from almost every duck. I think this is why the floor is growing so fast right now. It's not a community anymore. It's a family. So a couple of things here. You have a bunch of people that follow you. Do you ever feel there's a responsibility on you to tweet responsibly about NFTs? Because at the end of the day, there is significant amounts of money at stake here, and you can influence the people's purchasing decisions by what you say in quite a hefty way.
Yeah, 100%. And I used to post a lot of stuff in my Instagram story as well. And I always used to say, not financial advice. Just because you see some people investing in NFTs, flipping it a week later and making 100K doesn't mean that you will. You can lose a lot of money. You can get stuck holding the bag. So yeah, I try and let people know as often as I can that everything that I say is not financial advice. I also get some people sending me free stuff and they want me to promote it. I don't do any of that. The only things that I will promote or talk about is the stuff that I like that I don't have, or the stuff that I've actually purchased myself, because it's not a promotion thing, I guess. Now, I guess there's a lot of influencers, and I guess it's good and bad to look at influencers and what they do. You have to understand that some of these influencers will be paid, to talk about a certain NFT. So you have to be careful of that. But if you can see if you can see past that, and you can see the celebrities who don't do the paid for promotion, it's kind of a good indicator of a powerful NFT. For example, Jay-Z has a CryptoPunk. I don't think someone gave it to him for free and said, we'll pay you. Dan Bilzerian has a CryptoPunk. I don't think anyone paid him. So you can kind of use influencers as, you know, an idea of what is good. But yeah, if someone's just driving something hard on Twitter and you can tell that they've been paid to push it, stay away from that.
Yeah, it's a fine line to tread. I spent a lot of time thinking about whether I should change my PFP to a subduck. Ultimately, I felt like the message it sent, which was I support something I believe in and I'm happy to support that thesis, was stronger than just staying aloof and saying, but the problem is we're a Web3 media company. We have to be somewhat impartial. We have to be quite careful about what we say in regards to certain things. Subducks is a great example, though, because Subducks is issuing a token. So you every day you get 10 Vault tokens per Subduck. And this is it's the same mechanism that Kong's used with bananas. But this is the financialization of NFTs. And I want to bring up a tweet from Stani Kulichov. Joe, do you know who Stani is?
No, I don't.
So Stani is the founder of Aave, and Aave is one of the kind of premier lending platforms. So this is the world of DeFi. And he says NFT plus yield equals game over. Now, we know that Stani is a big fan of loot. And this idea that NFTs, given a DeFi component, is immensely powerful is an idea that's been wrapped up in a project I've been keeping a close eye on, which is Treasure. And as luck would have it, I have the team from Treasure on the line. Can we bring them on the stream, Al-Gazimov?
Hey,
so yes. So I'd like to welcome John Patton, and I'm sorry, I've got YYYY as he's known. Yuta, hey, welcome to the stream, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Yo.
So I'm just going to do a quick kind of introduction to Treasure. Treasure came about as a loot derivative. It was another one of those text-based NFTs with a list of items that represented the treasure. But very rapidly, what happened with Treasure is that they evolved the ability to split off those individual treasures and then farm them. And then they opened that farm up to other projects. Oh, I've just messed that up. But they opened the farm up to other projects so you could farm loot, you could farm the N token, you could also farm AGLD for a token called Magic. So, John, we had AGLD. Why did we need Magic?
So Magic it's sort of like a universal currency within the Treasure system. It plays a lot of different roles, but just to sort of explain why we invented Treasure instead of just using Adventure Gold. I got into loot like a few weeks after it launched and was just amazed seeing the cards, and like it was sort of just the opposite of everything I'd seen in DeFi, where DeFi generally starts with a problem and then it'll invent a mechanism to address it. And then loot was the first thing I'd seen since Ethereum. Like when you hear Vitalik talk about a general purpose blockchain, like the mechanism preceded its purpose. And so we started like just talking about how we could apply that to DeFi. And the idea was just to invent 50 or so monies, not explain what they were, make some of them were like pretty vague. So it would require like debate by the community to find out what they are. And then from that point, we released them, not really sure what we could build with it, but we just liked the loot ethos. So then we started doing the fractionalization, and Adventure Gold was like, to me, I mean, it's like Bitcoin. It doesn't really have any purpose yet. I mean, maybe they'll make one. And Bitcoin had this like great bootstrapping phase where you really had to believe in it for like a decade and participate in it to have like tremendous wealth at the end. But Adventure Gold just like airdropped it to a community, and it didn't really have like the the spirit of cryptocurrency that I like really enjoyed and fell in love with. So we were like, we should do this with Treasure and then make them into productive assets. Like some of these things are resources, and if you have gold in the real world, you can also use that for industrial applications. So if you make these little treasures that then could start producing either consumables where it'd just be like one-time uses for games, or maybe these consumables can sort of like turn into treasures eventually, we realized that we need another resource, which is magic. And so magic will be like, initially it'll be what allows treasures to become productive and start generating new NFTs. But over time, we wanted to use it as like the glue, the currency between a lot of different game economies. So we're building this dual resource model with treasures and magic. And the idea is like magic itself, and for treasures, for them to start accumulating value as dual resources, like it has to be hard to acquire some part of it. Like some part of it has to be scarce, and some part of it has to be achieved through work. So the way magic will work is like, once we finish this initial farm and do the distribution of magic, then you'll have to actually go and like complete quests to find additional magic, use treasures to produce instruments to like extract it. And then we'll also use this as a mechanism for distributing new forms of NFTs where, you know, the rarest one wouldn't be like just accumulated by the wealthiest person who owns a punk. And so they just keep getting the rarest one over and over and free stuff. Like they have to actually go into this world and find the instruments, build them themselves to like extract it, just the way the real world works. And then, you know, we've just started playing around with different ways we can apply this mechanism. Like, so I have a DeFi background. I didn't really know much about NFTs still a few months ago. But like the end of DeFi summer, it became pretty clear that this liquidity mining thing was not a good long-term strategy. It just didn't have any efficacy to like keep liquidity providers, because you're basically just incentivizing mercenaries who weren't invested in the long-term interest. So, you know, you either hoped you made them rich enough where they cared about the protocol, but most of the time, like DeFi summer was pegged as like building blocks, but most of the protocols like only had value because the token had value, and the token's value was the protocol. So it was just sort of like this circular thing that was bound to collapse. So we started thinking about like loot as a solution to this, where we could use quests and adventures and mining magic is a way like you need to provide liquidity and to access these things. So framing like LP tokens as like a privilege. And so, yeah, we're just expanding that now, and we're working with other protocols to like incorporate their tokens in to our system to try and diversify our treasury by like, you know, adding in as a gatekeeping point to certain adventures or NFTs. But yeah, that's where we've done so far.
It's funny because I'm doing some homework at the moment on the metaverse. It's amazing how many people who are instrumental in the evolution of the notion of avatars and the notion of the metaverse. Vitalik himself was a World of Warcraft player and was frustrated about the ownership of the game over his assets and the rarity of those assets. It's amazing how those game mechanics have stayed consistent throughout the evolution of the technologies that have driven this space, and the things that we feel we own, they're actually ancient text-based adventures. You know, the guy that invented the name Avatar, it was a really basic text-based adventure game. This has all come full circle. But I think what you're saying about liquidity mining being basically just renting liquidity from mercenaries is really interesting. We were covering bonds yesterday with the OHM token and how bonds can provide an interesting alternative to actually owning liquidity rather than renting it for projects. I'm trying to understand how we take the value that's being created by these NFT projects and create sustainability for it. You're talking the exact same language, but you're coming at it from a DeFi perspective. And yet I would bet that 99% of people who own NFTs and are active in those communities and are receiving tokens have less than 1% of an idea of what DeFi is even about. And that for me is problematic. So how do we encourage people to cross the Rubicon in a sense and really kind of start playing in this strange ecosystem and start participating?
Yeah, I think the worlds will converge between the two. It's just so obvious where things are going. Like DeFi and NFTs were never meant.
But is it? It's obvious to you.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe.
Like, okay, I could be wrong. From my thinking, like these have existed as two separate worlds, but they're really bound to collide. And like on one hand, in DeFi, like we had this whole experience where we weren't able to build, you know, most of the assets weren't good collateral. So the building blocks like didn't have any architectural soundness and just collapsed. But I'm one of the people who only understands like 1% of NFTs, and what's become obvious to me is like these are real forms of value in a way a DeFi token isn't. Like no one could say that like an NFT doesn't have value because it concretely takes something that people find joy in and base their identity on, and like it does have a monetary value, an intrinsic purpose. So as far as like just a building block goes for DeFi, that's as sound as it can get. And then the NFT community will come in and they'll sort of like realize that until now, like you've just only been able to use your NFTs as like profile pictures. You haven't been able to like generate yield on them or like, financialize them in some way, like use them and play to earn games where the game isn't like giving you the avatar. You're actually bringing your identity into it to like either just earn from the game or even build financial tools in that little world.
And yet players of games like Fortnite, like Roblox, they innately understand economics because they're built into the fabric of the games themselves. Joe, question for you.
Yes.
Do you understand what we just looked at? Does that make any sense to you at all, that farm?
That is a little bit above my head.
Trust me, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It really isn't.
Kind of the experience we've been having with our community. We realized early on that many of them were, when I first started working on the DeFi aspects of our protocol, I thought that everyone would like be familiar with DeFi or be entrenched in DeFi because I came from DeFi and then moved into the NFT space. But what we quickly realized is that many people didn't even know how to stake their tokens. They were like, oh, I have to send an approval and send a deposit transaction. And so it was definitely a learning curve. But what we found is through, a lot of engagement with the community and a lot of demonstrating to them the value of bringing NFTs and DeFi together, they very quickly learned. And now you'll see in our Discord, if people start asking questions about like, how do I stake? What's the purpose of this? Why is this valuable? Our community members have begun to onboard people from the NFT space into the NFT DeFi space. And it's really been amazing to see them, because it is kind of a steep learning curve at first, but it's really been amazing to see how they've come so far. So I definitely think it's possible to bring, and again, inevitable for the NFT and DeFi spaces to come together. I think it will just require a lot of very active and, vocal communities that can bring people together. And I think that we're building something special with Treasure in that regard.
Well, it's someone, I forget who it was, said it's like improv. It's a yes and scenario. So we talked about Patek Philippe's and Rolex as being these kind of flexes and these items that you own and they give you social standing. NFTs do a very different thing, and composability, DeFi, the ability to take one thing, wrap it as another thing, and then generate value in a different way. There isn't really a parallel for that in the IRL side of things. But what I love about the treasure farm is there is a single-sided component here. So you could, if you're not comfortable with LPing and all of that, you can just stake your magic into the single-sided pool and earn Legion cards. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Legion card component of this actually is? John,
Absolutely.
or Yuto? Yeah.
So Legions is going to be like, as we mentioned, we want to use Treasure and Magic as a building block for a metaverse game, right? And Legions is going to be the first iteration of that, or at least our take on it. Currently, we are working, like as John had mentioned, we'll be having quests and different sorts of ways that you can interact with the game and begin to accumulate resources by staking your treasures, gaining consumables, and earning magic. Now, Legions itself will be a bit like an auto battler game. If you guys are at all familiar with like League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, Dota Auto Chess, that's kind of where I drew inspiration for this game. I have a long background of like gaming. Like Vitalik, I played a lot of WoW growing up. I used to like run a guild, be a raid leader, things like that. So I'm very well, like I'm was a top 1,000 StarCraft 2 player in North America. So like I'm as gamer as they come. And coming from that background, I realized that, especially when Loot came out, I just was really inspired and was like, hey, look, this brings together all of these different things that I've enjoyed in my life. And now I have an opportunity to build something new on top of it. And when John and I started working on Treasure, I was like, wow, this is going to be like the economy for this, rather than having to, pay for WoW Gold or like, just have this token that this company has given to me. We can distribute these resources and then think about building a game on top of it, right? That composability aspect. And Legions itself will be like this auto battler where you're on 2 teams of 4, and you'll have these Legions units that you can place on the battlefield alongside your profile picture, which will be like an avatar or hero. And then they'll like kind of just fight it out. And during these battles, you can use the consumables that you farmed, and they'll have like an active effect on the battlefield. Say, for example, we have an item called Honeycomb, a treasure called Honeycomb. You can stake that, and you can earn something like a jar of bees, let's say. And in the game, you can just choose to use that jar of bees and like have it, have the bees attack your opponents or something like that. So that's kind of how we're bringing consumables into the game. Legions themselves will be like loot-like cards that have different classes. So like fighters, range, spellcaster, things like that. And those are the units that you'll use to fight in this battle arena.
So I'm looking at this thinking, is there a way to get different PFP communities to battle each other? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Absolutely. So that's kind of like the profile picture avatar component. The idea here is that, let's say, when you start the game or when you enter the game space, you'll connect your wallet and it will check for the presence of any of these NFTs. And if you have them, what it'll do is it'll unlock like a avatar or 2D representation of that profile picture, and that'll be your playable hero. And during like the rounds or the gameplay, you'll be able to place your hero, your PFP, as a unit on the field. And it'll have its own base stats and special abilities based on which collection it belongs to. Initially, we're planning on doing like a short whitelist. So just like the top profile picture communities. And then if you don't have a profile picture, you'll have like a randomly generated hero avatar.
John, question for you. Is it possible to have an NFT-backed stablecoin? Because here's my thesis on this. Generating a new token from thin air through emission, great. We're seeing this with Subducts. They have a Vault token. Wonderful. For me, the key, the most important primitive in DeFi is the stablecoin. Is it possible to create an NFT-backed stablecoin?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I was thinking this morning along similar lines, like, can you have a blockchain where all the validators' bonds are NFTs? And like, it would be hard if you have one NFT that's worth $1 million, like, and then the slashing penalty was just a fraction of that. Like, how would you, deal with it? But if you could make fractional NFTs and those were like the bonds, or in your case, like if someone, gets liquidated and their CDP gets closed, then if, they had used fractional units that would make liquidation. Otherwise, no one would participate in it, I don't think, because the consequences would be way too steep.
It just occurs to me that if you say it, someone will try and do it.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
They're already doing it in the comments. They've just done it now. It's launching in 3 seconds. Oh, it's on well. Oh, it's
mint directly from the contract. No, but
$1 million.
It's definitely interesting because we're looking at things like NFTX and NFT 20, and they're all kind of basically attempts to fungibilize non-fungibles and create some kind of agreed price structure around things upon which you can base financial decisions. And yet the whole point of them is that you don't do that. So it's really fun to see this collision of these ideas and creativity and to bring DeFi heads and NFT heads together, because at the end of the day, developers, as far as I've ever met them, are as creative as the people that draw the NFTs. It's the same set of muscles. They're just deployed in different ways. Swan, have you understood anything that we've said in the last 10 minutes?
I have, yes, as always. It all sounds brilliant. Talk to me about these quests, and also, is there not a risk then of each project basically has to be Call of Duty, each project has to be StarCraft? How much headroom and space is there in the overall space to have all these things? If you look at now, if you make the analogy of it being like World of Warcraft as such, Call of Duty, or even go fighting games, Super Smash Brothers, they are one or two of each type, and that's kind of it. if you guys are main players now, there may be 3 or 4 others. Do you see that being a problem in terms of everyone trying to strive to be this bigger picture, metaverse, avatar-based loot generating experience? Because not that it's a bad thing, it's great, but there really can, like Highlander said in the best film of the 1980s, be only one.
Yeah. I don't think it's limited to like, yeah, it's a good question. Like, what should a treasure be able to produce? In theory, it could produce anything, like, and you know, it could be like a cyberpunk themed item or something that's more medieval or a combination of the two. You know, it's unlike real resources. There's really no like finite capacity to what you can produce from them. But it's kind of like, you know, what we've discovered in crypto is that the limit to like how productive an asset should be is like, it has diminishing returns, or like at a certain point, it just like isn't feasible that this one asset will, you know, keep providing that much mileage. So I think it could be like across a whole universe of like with big thematic differences.
Well, there has to be a consensus, I guess, which would be
consensus
arranged by the community, because you could have an RPG style game where you have your character that's been yielding magic and farming honey, and he comes in, and then I've brought in my techno socks that have generated laser feet. You know, there's gonna be another whole community that has to regulate and sort of make sure everything's fair. But then, is that an issue? Does it have to be fair? Can you just have your character that has a fucking almighty neon strippogram with him that can just defeat all your little mice, your stupid little frogs? You know, I mean,
the thing is, Swan,
does it have to be fair?
The point is not to ask whether it's possible. The point is just to do it. You just do, that's the whole. I thought
you was going to quote Jurassic Park.
No. We're beyond Jurassic Park now. Jeff Goldblum, as awesome as he is, he never bought loot, and you know, he'll take that with him to his grave. Oh, it's true. His dick did fall off, and it was in a jar.
That's a good point, though. Like, there should be decentralized game making, where mostly that is, at least as far as I know, there's never been a game studio that's like really decentralized decision making over how powerful certain items should be, or even whitelisting them. So, you know, DeFi has already created all these governance mechanisms by which people can, as a community, kind of decide like the inner workings of a protocol. That should be true for a game as well.
Well, what I love about this project, and what I responded to most, was that it was an honest attempt to undo what I saw the damage of AGLD was, which was to create a kind of flippant, fly-by-wire, kind of nonsensical currency to something which didn't need it, and attempt to create a cross-boundary currency that could live across games, and actually you had to work to get. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We have to move on. I could talk to you for hours, but I'm really glad we were able to at least put some shine a light on treasure and what you guys are building, because I think
I want some treasure.
And it's not crazy expensive. It's not like loot. You can go and acquire treasures, and you can split them up and participate. And like, you know, you two were saying, it gives you a way of learning some key DeFi concepts and primitives and things, which are I would like projects like Kongs, like Subducks, to start investigating what's possible with their token beyond simply a number go up, because composability, LPing, all these things are incredibly powerful, and they do create value and create structures that can be leveraged in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways beyond just the confines of that simple PFP. So thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll let you go now as we move on to the heady world of, well, listen, if you want to check out Treasure, it's treasure.lol. Obviously .lol. I didn't even know that was a file extension. Listen, we're gonna head back to home base for you. After that was probably like just utterly baffling. This is Bored Apes. Crypto slam. Yes, we're looking at numbers now. This is the Bored Ape Yacht Club sales volume data graphs and charts. And here we can see what's happened with Bored Apes over the course of the last 5 months. Here is where mutants happened. And in one day, they peaked at $55,688,790 worth of sales. Absolutely ridiculous. And in total, 502,794,830. I mean, basically, what I was looking at here was I was trying to figure out how much money they've actually made, because most projects add a royalty. In fact, pretty much all of them do, onto their PFP, so that every time it changes hands, they get a cut of that. And that is presumably how they will survive over the next 3 to 5 years. They will subsist off the royalties. What do you think the royalties on Bored Apes have been to date? Anybody have a guess?
I have no idea.
I'd say 360 million.
That's ambitious. 502 million total sales. In fact, it's more now, isn't it? 510. The royalties 2.5%. Go again. Basic maths. Swan, this is your forte. Make it happen.
What is it again? I'm listening to a podcast. Sorry.
I failed maths, so it's not me.
about 2 million.
And that's 11. No, it's 12.5 million.
Same, but without the 10.
$12.5 million in royalties. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's insane. But not only that, they also raised upwards of $70 million in the Mutants sale. So all in all, these guys are they've probably gone close to $100 million. Just the original sale itself.
I said 130 million.
The original sale itself, they really didn't raise that much money. It was like 2.5 million they raised in the original sale of the Bored Apes. But those secondaries have massively eclipsed it. I had no idea. I mean, I just sort of you just assume that the sales, they just go in between people. OpenSea are the ones that are really making the money on this because they also take a cut of every sale of those. Like OpenSea, cha-chang, 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 chang, chang, chang.
And gas fees. I mean, this is it. When these projects launch at 0.0 something or other, and then we see in NFT world, a matter of minutes, they are all worth $500,000. It's like, is there not a way?
It's bollocks. It's bollocks.
Yeah, it is bollocks.
It's bollocks. Bored Apes is basically like a supermodel. It's a freak. It shouldn't be possible, and it has no place on this earth. Sorry, I didn't mean any of that.
There are other types of modeling jobs out there.
That's true. That's true. No, with the Bored Apes, my point was Bored Apes are freakish. They just launched. It was lightning in a bottle, and what they've managed to do is continue to execute in a way that is just phenomenal. The recent treasure hunt was just incredible. They have released a roadmap. We're going to dig in. Joe, have you had a look at this roadmap?
Yes, I have, and it almost seems like another treasure hunt to figure out the roadmap.
They do that on purpose. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. What is the biggest complaint we hear from any community when it comes to their project? What in the early days, what do people want more than anything else?
A hug and someone to love them.
Is the wrong answer. I'm going to switch to Alp Gazimov. Alp, what is the correct answer?
Can I have the question again?
No. What you don't realize is he's not wearing any trousers. What is the thing that the community members are asking for more than anything else? They demand it. They
want a roadmap. They want to know how much the floor price is going to be. They want to know how fungible the token is. They want to know what's going to mutate into. They want to know how much it's worth.
We need more marketing is the thing you hear more than anything else. We need more marketing. And they need people like Joe to talk about it. And what's interesting about Bored Apes is they don't do that.
Yeah.
They say almost nothing. And that is the genius and the power of Bored Apes, is they can say almost nothing and it doesn't matter. Information asymmetry is this incredibly powerful weapon that the less you know, the more valuable things are. Yeah, it's insane.
Let me just interject, which I agree 100%. There's one thing I need to say.
Yes. You can interject. I'd like you to go to your Webster's and pick up a synonym for interject and go again.
Yes, yes, that's true. And they're not doing much marketing. But when you just say the sentence, "It cost you pennies and you can sell for millions," that's all the marketing that they've needed and that they did need.
Where did they say that?
Well, people will talk about the fact that they've turned pennies into millions. Everywhere. It happened everywhere. That time when that spike it was on the news, it was on the radio, it was on the TV. We were talking about it, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, every social media platform, because greed is the enemy. There was a really interesting comment. It says, if Bored Apes are the supermodels, who are the porn stars?
I think we know. I think we know.
Oh, good one. It's come up there.
So let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this roadmap. There's a Trezor hunt. Trezor being a hardware wallet like Ledger. Who knows? Sandbox Miami 2035. So it looks like, as with Kongs, you're going to get a CryptoVoxel or a voxelated metaverse version of your ape. You can actually get a 3D ape already. But as we know, like actually implementing an ape and turning into something you can use in the metaverse, a little bit tricky. You've got 3D models here. There's an MD versus MMI final battle. Any idea what that might be?
No.
No. Multimedia inspection.
Yes. And then there's a top secret blockchain game. Oh yeah, they're making a game. So in the treasure hunt, there was a fun little kind of 2D game. The thing is, let's just rewind. Making a game is hard. Making a good game is extremely hard. But they've raised them a lot of money, haven't they? So they can afford to spend their way into success here and get good talent on board. What's interesting here is
this not just the same old shit though?
Of course, it's the same old shit. It's the difference here. The difference here is that these people that the Bored Ape brand is now indelibly written into the culture of crypto forever. That's it. You know, Ethereum is an apt comparison here because Ethereum came along after Bitcoin, and everyone was like, Bitcoin is the one and only true God. And then Ethereum came along and said, well, actually, there's room for more than one God here. And by the way, we've got smart contracts and you can do shit. And then all the Bitcoiners went, Satan. But it's true. It's true. Yes. John Travolta. So, Joe, listen, I've got a question for you. You have publicly stated that you would prefer to swap your Bored Ape for Subducks.
Yep.
Explain your thinking, because you see this juicy roadmap, and it is a beautiful roadmap, by the way. Why? What is your thinking? Why would you abandon this juicy, well-funded project for Subducks?
Well, definitely a hard decision, but I believe. Okay, let's say the Bored Apes got to 100 Ethereum floor price. You know, that's about 50, 60 Ethereum from here. Now, if I swapped my Bored Ape for, let's say, 15 ducks, and I believe those ducks are probably going to get to at least maybe 8, maybe 10. If I made 5 or 7 Ethereum gain on 15 ducks, I think that's going to be a lot more profitable than having one ape. And if that was the case, then I'd probably go back and buy another ape.
Well, that's what I did.
Yeah, you're trying to trade up to trade down to trade across to trade up again. But yeah, I respect that. It's very, very difficult to do. I mean, that's one of the things about owning an NFT is if you sell it, it's very, very difficult to reacquire that particular one. I think what's very clear with Bored Apes is that they have a particular storytelling style. And if you are in this ecosystem and you're along this journey with them, I find it harder and harder and harder to even imagine not being part of this anymore, because I think I have so much respect for what they've accomplished. Down the corner of this roadmap, they say, not listed, collabs, partnerships, and dope shit we don't want to be front run on. In the back of my mind, I remember a conversation I had when I made a film about Bored Apes that they wanted to be the new Supreme. They wanted to be considered in those terms. If they can get there, then they can continue building this brand out. I think there's something very special here. What I do like is the fact that the more successful Bored Apes are, the better it is for all the other PFPs and the next ones down, because we can all kind of learn from their success, but we can also draft off of it, which I think is very, very interesting. Joe, I'm going to offer you the option of jumping off the stream here because I know it's very, very late for you here and we've still got a few things to talk about. If you'd like to leave now, say, but you can stick with us as we continue because we're going to cover a few other different things, amongst them, the bulls on the block. So if you would like to go, I will say goodbye. If you'd like to stay, you're very, very welcome. I'm not sure if you know much about bulls.
I'll probably pull the plug there, but
yes, sir.
It's been great to be on here, so I really appreciate you having me on. And yeah, I'm just excited with this NFT space. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yes, go check. Go follow Joe on Twitter. We will leave the link in the description once we finish the stream. But he's top bloke and doing some big things, and he's a big guy. So
Yeah,
if you
I'm
don't,
jealous
he'll
of
come
your
mess
arms.
with you. Look at the size of those arms. Go on, give us a flex, Joe. Go on, you know. Oh my god. Oh my god. Outgazimov, do you have?
Cool.
Thanks, Joe. See you next
Later,
time.
guys.
Thanks.
Later,
Bye bye.
man.
Thanks for having me.
Outgazimov, do you have balls on the block for us to have a look at?
No, hang on. Do you have arms like Joe? Because not
Of course
many
he
people
does.
do.
Good. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. What is that?
Arms,
Go on
man.
out.
No,
I got arms.
what's
Dude, I got
creativity and
2
generative
arms.
design hosted me to be on the Ethereum
Oh,
blockchain?
wait,
That's
not
his
it.
side hustle.
That's my. There we go. Balls on the block. Balls on. Swan, do you know what happened with balls on the block?
Yeah. I don't know. Aside from all that, aesthetically, I dig these. These are one of the.
You
sort of
dig these?
handful-
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people did not dig these.
I know.
So the story behind balls on the block was one of the earlier PFP projects that came, and on the footsteps of Bored Apes, and it had a named artist behind it by the name of Rui Duarte. He's a Portuguese artist, and yeah, this one was one of those, like the gas price went up to, like, you had to pay like over an ETH to mint them, and it was a disaster. I'll be honest. Right from the get-go, people just didn't like the art, and they didn't like how much they'd had to pay for it, and it got quickly abandoned, and unfairly so. What happened then was that they did a partnership with Floyd Mayweather, and they created some NFTs for him. They also dropped a companion, which was Bears on the Block, which people responded to a little bit better. But basically, the art style, they just didn't gel with people, and I think the artist himself took it really to heart. But it got weirder. It got weirder because...
Well, see, these are the ones I like.
It got weird. It got weird. Well, basically, they said they were going to evolve the bulls into a new art style, and they'd gone down the road. And then it turned out that, like, the artist himself was not actually the artist. It turned out that Rui Duarte was, in fact, 2 different people, which was not disclosed to the Board on the Block's developers. So there's the artist, and then he put out a video saying he was really disappointed in what had happened. And actually, there were 2 different people, and Rui is the artist, and Duarte is his manager.
Yeah.
And so they operate as a team, and he's a tattoo artist, and he does commissions and things. But basically, there was a commercial component to this, which is where the Floyd Mayweather things happen. And then there was the artist component. And actually, he really felt bad about what had happened and sort of said, okay, this wasn't me. I want to help make this right. So what has happened is, like, it all went to crap, basically. But there was a few good people who rescued this thing and said, you know what, we're going to bring this back because, well, I guess they also have a pretty well-stacked community wallet, so they could. But they said, let's try and do something about it. And I thought this was kind of amazing because by all accounts, they should have rugged. They should have just got the fuck out of Dodge. Hash Demons, rugged. Wojaks, rugged. Gone. Like, it's so easy to raise the money right now. Why wouldn't they? But they didn't. And fair play to them. They put out a long and sort of painfully overwrought Discord message in which they said, you know what? We got screwed. We didn't know. We didn't do our due diligence. We were where we were. And now the evolved bulls have been announced. You can go and swap your old bull for a new bull. You won't burn the old bull. You'll get the new bull. And the project continues. Pretty amazing. Swan, you liked the evolved bulls.
I liked these ones, yeah. And I think this whole furore came out about with the whole sort of each team has to be anonymous thing with that other project, but that turned out to be Russian guys, you know. And I think this news came slap back in the middle of that, where it was like any hint of absolute transparency was just slaughtered on Twitter. And because I think, so what if it was fucking 2 guys, you know, and if it was a partnership team? I mean, some part of me thinks that it was just a massive retcon, and they just thought, oh, the artwork's shit, and we'll just jump on this and use it as a big apology excuse and come out with something fresh. Because if they just gone, oh, this, we don't like the artwork, you don't like the artwork, gas prices are screwing everyone, we're going to do the same thing but with new artwork, I think it would, like a lot of projects, just absolutely farted away. And I don't know if you want to move off this quite yet, but in terms of projects that sort of have this sort of bit of a shit stink to them. Like I told you about the John Cena NFT.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. What happened with that?
Well, they were a limited run of John Cena NFTs. They were $1,000 each, and with the NFT, you got a T-shirt, and it was a lot of physical merch tie-in.
Goodness me! Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and there was a one of one, which went for $21,000, which gave you tickets to a show or something like that. But I think they sold 30 or something, or 20.
Oh my goodness.
Which for a star like John Cena, who now legitimately is the new
Dwayne Johnson.
He's the new Dwayne Johnson. You know, we've all seen Fast and Furious 9.
Should we?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's terrible.
It's hilarious.
It's a terrible film.
It's hilarious.
John Cena calls his own NFT sales a catastrophic failure.
He likes to apologize. He should have done it in Mandarin.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, but basically, they like whoever was managing him completely underestimated or just didn't understand or respect the culture you're coming into, and that is 100%. You have to respect the culture. If you are looking to launch an NFT, know your market, understand the people that are in this space. Otherwise, it doesn't matter who you are, you'll get crucified, because this space does not pay any respect to.
And I think that's something
anything you might have done elsewhere.
And I think there's something that took me a while. And if anyone's watching this that are not sure about NFTs, and they're thinking, why the fuck do people like these stupid fucking images? It is partly because of that. You know, my analogy is also like, you know, if KFC or McDonald's just brought in an NFT, you know, people will see immediately through that it's just literally a money grab. But when these communities have their own identity, be it a frog or words or a poem or something as abstract as whatever the fuck they are, they can be anything. They're the ones that go. And John Cena's his effort and the fact that it failed, I wasn't like, oh great, haha, fuck you. You know, it's like, who cares anyway? He's got enough money. But it just made me think that these big corporations, Disney, Star Wars, Bandai, Nintendo, the reason why they haven't stepped in so much, the clever ones, is because I think they know deep down, like Robin said, that it's a whole different thing now. It's not just marketing for marketing's sake. Like with the previous guys with the treasure, you know, they're designed a yielding and loot manufacturing system before they've even got a game kind of thing. And it's they say a lot in this space, it's been flipped on its head. It really has. So you have a world famous megastar, maybe one of the most famous guys in the world, releases an NFT, which is on the lips of every major news thing in the world. And it just goes up to it just shits it out. And I think it will happen to every
humbling.
celebrity.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
It's humbling. Yeah, and it'd be humbling for his managers as well. They're like, oh, whoops. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, no one cares 24 hours later. That's just the way these things go. Yeah. But it was definitely instructive. Definitely instructive. I want to move on to Pack, the Lost Poets reveal. You got that out for us. So these are the sneak previews of Lost Poets. So we covered Lost Poets last week. It is Pack's new project. It's an ongoing kind of ecosystem, metaverse experiment with all sorts of different components to it. His Discord opened up. This is someone who is basically doing what we did with the rug pool, but blown up. And I love it. These are so weird. These are kind of GAN-generated composites of famous pictures and people. There's an ongoing story here. He revealed these, and you know, some people like them, some people don't. Pack himself, if it's one person, if it's a group of people, it's a bit of a mystery character. This is apparently him, but nobody really knows. But I was talking to someone earlier, and they said, you know, the interesting thing about Pack is he's a developer and an artist, and that's a rare combination to have. I'm excited to see what happens. The Sotheby's sale is happening. There is a 48-hour kind of timer on the clock for these Lost Poets to reveal themselves. So you can trade in a page NFT, which are trading around 1 ETH now. And it was hilarious yesterday because, Al, if you can skip forward to the next thing, there was basically on OpenSea, there was a bundle of these. So there was a bundle of 240 and a bundle of 100. And these were just sort of sitting at, I think, a 1 ETH price point. And basically, the way OpenSea works is if you have a bundle sitting at a certain price point of an NFT like this, then people have to buy the whole bundle or they buy the next one up. So that bundle when it's 240 will sit there for a very, very, very long time. And the person that set that sell was probably thinking, well, I'll just be able to compress the price here. That is not what happened, because one Pranksy jumped in, bought the lot. So there it went. And he just did it because that's what Pranksy did. We have a Gary Reed backing tracks who says, shite, 50 plus people are watching this circle jerk. If we are circle jerking, well, then don't watch. just go away. We don't need you here.
And I tell you what, Gary Reed backing tracks, I ain't wanking off over none of this rubbish. I think it's all bullshit.
Thank you so much for your comment. We appreciate it. Dude, did you see Snoop Dogg?
I did.
What happened there? Snoop Dogg came out as Cosimo Medici.
Oh no! I didn't see this. I thought you meant
you didn't see this.
Him. No.
Do you know what this is?
No, I don't.
Let me try and explain for you. So Cosimo Medici
is. Yeah.
Oh, there he is. There's Snoop. So Snoop. Well, yeah, it's a difficult one to kind of figure out here, because Cosimo Medici is a NFT influencer who got famous for posting basically this tweet. Did I imagine my very first purchase of a useless JPEG would cost $2 million US? Absolutely not. It should have been $4 million. And this guy was sharing his story of how he's basically been buying NFTs and spending a lot of money on them. And then Snoop came out and said, I am Cosimo Medici. But do we believe it? Do we believe that he's actually this guy?
I don't know. I mean, he smokes a lot of weed and cooks a lot.
Yes, I suspect he's probably just trolling. So who knows? But it was a pretty funny story. We can actually go and check out the Cosimo Medici OpenSea, and there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Let me just pull that up. We can have a look at what this particular character has in his OpenSea account. There's a lot of stuff in there. Cool, oh my goodness. There's an E-joint in there. Stupid like that. A lot of me bits. Look at this. 315 for this robot. Bargain. A lot of Tom Sachs rockets. There's, as I recall, there's a lot of me bits in this account. A lot of art blocks curated. So yeah, so whoever it is buying up kind of blue chips. There you go, Chromie Squiggles.
I mean, it could be an investment company. You know, a lot of. I mean, this is where the not the danger, but there will be at some stage soon celebrity teams of NFT buyers and social media experts. You know,
yeah.
And as much as it's each of these projects might think it's great, we've got Gary Shandling or Larry David buying our NFT. Chances in the next sort of few months or cycles or whatever, it's not going to be them.
Well, there's Vincent Van Gogh, who was basically the guy that, or girl, who knows, but that kicked off the art blocks buying craze, because they suddenly started buying a lot of art at the very high end of it. And he has recently posted a tweet saying, I think it would do more good for this space if I doxed myself, given how famous I am in real life, which is kind of a weird thing to say, which is like, oh yeah, by the way, I am famous. Gary Reed backing track says Gary Shandling won't be buying any NFTs. You're right, because he's dead. Thank you, Gary. Always on the ball. Gary with the double R.
He's still watching us wank.
He's still watching us circle jerk. We'll bring out the biscuits in a bit. But yes, Vincent Van Gogh said that it'll do more good for the space if he doxes himself and comes out as a celebrity, because, well, yes, as we know, celebrities and NFTs, perfect mix.
Yeah, they fuck. All right, there's a question for you. If you could buy, since Gary has pointed out quite clearly that Gary Shandling and the character therefore surrounding is dead, if you could back an NFT from any character in history or actor, who would it be? And I want the most obscure. I'm going to go straight in there hard with the Steve Guttenberg NFT.
Steve Guttenberg, no, Police Academy. He's not obscure enough.
Oh,
I think. Okay, so Total Recall. You know the woman that he dresses up as. It says 2 weeks, 2 weeks
in the airport.
Her. Where the face comes out and Arnie comes out. Come on.
Cool, do it.
You,
done.
Not you. You're me.
It's on OpenSea already. Shit, we're millionaires.
Give these people some air. We're going to end the show by taking a look at some of the projects that are coming up. Anything that's on your radar, Mr. One?
Yes, I like Euphoria by Edward_OV. It's very kind of synth wave. They're your portrait style. They're not squares. They're the portrait style. They're very synth wave. They're kind of groovy, and I just like looking at them. They're very calming. I mean, if they're going to make money or not, I don't give a shit. But they look nice, and anything with purple and blue and neon and women spinning around, I pretty much dig. I like. I've written another one down. I know we talked about it. Haiku Paradise. Those ones I think are cool.
Well, the one that's been just continually gripping me up. Do you have images of Artifact for me? Is Akira, and I've been trying to kind of figure out what is going on with these Akiras.
No, they're getting worse.
Yeah, well, the Akira is not really the real name. It's just the code name for these. So these are these anime PFPs that Artifact is putting out, and Artifact have been teasing a lot. Really a lot of stuff, and it's been somewhat troubling because, you know, as I mentioned with Bored Apes, sometimes less is more when it comes to telling people what's going on. But they've clearly got a plan, and their plan is to tell people a lot and tease a lot and make a big point out of the value, the residual value of the NFTs that they've already released, like the Jeff Staples sneakers, this kind of thing. Because basically, to get into the Akira presale, you need to own an Artifact NFT, like these sneakers, and these have gone up like absurd amount. Like the 14 ETH floor or something for the sneakers. It's completely out of reach for most people. And the benefit of those pre-sale is that you get a 0.05 ETH price, and for the main public sale, it's looking like it's going to be a Dutch auction with a starting price of around 1 to 3 ETH. And given the anticipation around this project, 10,000 of those at 1 to 3 ETH, they're going to just disappear off the shelf. So those pre-sale NFTs are massively valuable. But someone took a look at the leaks that they put out. So some of the things that they said is Akira is the final ecosystem for all of our NFTs, clothes, and shoes that go on avatars. And all Artifact NFTs will have utility post Akira. So basically what everyone is imagining is that these Akiras, these NFTs that have been going up massively in price will suddenly dump the moment the Akira drop happens. And I guess they're trying to ensure against that by teasing this post-Akira future. But really, I think what they're talking about here is a metaverse. They're talking about an Akira or Artifact metaverse in which fashion, streetwear, PFPs, digital humans all come together in one cohesive whole, and that owning a piece of that landscape, whether it's an NFT or an Akira or anything else, gives you participation in that ecosystem. And another thing that they've said, there's going to be an Artifact token as well.
Yeah, this is all cool, but and I like it. And as much as I think the artwork's getting worse, if they become avatars for a 3D experience, and I have seen other leaks where there's full body stuff, the barrier to entry now to be part of this metaverse, is it not constrictive? I mean, because you have to have either maybe you lucked out with a pigeon, or you've bought these trainers, or you've bought all the collab stuff. I mean, what is the basic level now that if you want to be part of this community, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars just to be able to play this game, you know? And yes, there's a fashion element and all these other things that come around it, but is it worth it? You know, if someone said to you, yo, we've got this wicked virtual reality game, it's going to cost you 50 grand minimum to get in. Oh, what's it like? Don't know yet. And no one's done nothing. I don't know. I think there's a lot of speculation.
The truth of the matter, the truth of the matter is this market is unkind. It's deeply, deeply unkind. So if you really want to understand how unkind it will be, basically look at a historical chart, 2017 into 2018. And look at the tops of all the tokens. You could basically set a buy at around 95 to 98% below the top and pick up a bargain if you were patient enough to wait for it. This is a market that punishes projects and coins and value and retail and investors in ways that most people can't even begin to imagine. What that means is that if you are savvy and you think something's worth it and it's good, then you just bide your time and you wait for it to get to a point where you can afford it. Most people don't have that patience, and they also don't want to wait around to find out. So that is basically where we're at. Is it worth it? Well, Artifact are unusual in the sense that they have already proven that they can execute. So where Bored Apes have proven their execution over time, Artifact are launching with proven execution already there. They are putting out some Bored Ape shoes. The shoes that they already make for all their other projects are also coming out. They just know how to do this stuff. I would say that their marketing and their narrative maybe isn't as strong as Bored Apes. They're a bit more hypey, and I don't necessarily like that. But in terms of the style and the look of the things that they make, yeah, awesome. And is it something that I feel people are going to want? Yes. And is it something that I think people are going to want to wear in the metaverse? Yes. Is it something that I think has a distinct and unique identity that helps set it apart from everything else out there?
Yes.
100%. No one pays you to talk, Alp. You talk when I tell you to talk. Now, what have you got to say?
We needed another yes, because I'm a massive no. I loved it. I loved it, but you know, I just think I don't know. I mean, and this is not to bash any project or any community, because some of them are cool, but I just see each one now, each drop, each bit of hype, and I just think, no, I'm not bothered. I just don't want it. I mean,
that's the problem, you see, because in and amongst those drops will be one that is actually quite brilliant, and you'll miss it. And you'll miss it.
Yeah,
but that's also fine because we're still early, you know.
It is, but like, let's just go. I mean, I know we're running out a little bit of time here, but like, if you're going to create an experience which is going to be akin to something like World of Warcraft or something like a MMO RPG or a MOBA, these games are now between 100 and 150 million in development, and they're taking 3 to 5 years. And so these experiences have to be better than that. And I know the NFTs.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. I think the point is that Akiras are not designed to be a game. They're designed to be a thing you use in a game. So
yeah, but that has to have consensus from everyone else.
But that's the connective tissue that is being built.
No, I see that. Moment. But are you gonna? But as you said earlier, you know, you're getting low and hold out, and it might be good. But are you willing to pay £50,000 to have your avatar in the corner of a screen in a 16x16 fighting game? I don't know if you are, and I think it's cutting a lot of people out. Where if it was £10 and I could play an online game,
yeah, eventually there will be. So you're paying the price of being an early adopter. You're also paying a price that is on a par with everything else. But yeah, like I said, the whole point of these metaverse PFPs is that they are boundaryless. They are things that can travel with you wherever you go. Now, the bit that's missing here is AAA games don't have the framework to plug in blockchain components, PFPs, all that stuff yet. But it is being rapidly built out as we speak. We're going to hear from someone tomorrow on the metaverse presentation I'm doing specifically about that. But the open metaverse, this ability to take your asset, your item, the value it's created, the value it holds within it, with you wherever you go, any metaverse, any place,
yeah, but do you know what's
any system,
happen?
any set of economics.
Yeah, but
yes?
you know what will happen? There will be massive gang wars. There'll be metaverse gang wars.
Well, that's what we all want. I mean, look at her. She's got snakes on her head. She's
I want
ready
a slice of bread.
Shit down.
I want a slice of bread and a milk carton to kick its ass.
Yes, of course you do. Of course you do. I mean, like, you know, when you saw like all these different game characters existing in the same film, that was cool as fuck, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But I mean, I just worry that
you don't like him. It's fine. You don't like him. It's fine.
I don't like him.
You don't like him. It's good to have a skeptic. Yeah. It's good to have a skeptic. Now listen, we've gone on for an hour and a half. We lost Gary Reed backing tracks. You know, if you make backing tracks, you're not going to be at the front of the queue, are you? You're not going to be in the front leading the band. And you and I, we want to be band leaders. So maybe it wasn't a good fit anyway.
We often use backing tracks though. So Gary, if you do have only 50%,
yeah, have you got any beats? You got any beats for us? You got any beats? You got any beats? Beats. Whoa!
Hey!
Whoa! What just happened? Again. Damn, son!
Yeah, that's the best likeness to describe.
Have green screen studio, shoot your own idents and weird stuff. we have loved doing the live shows. The NFT show is our chance to dig in deep on stuff. Thank you, Simon Wan. Thank you, Joe Rakich.
Everyone
And
in the
thank
comments
you
as well.
so
Famous
much.
Crypto, Gary, Sunbod, Thingbook, Hernan, everyone is in there making comments.
Hey, listen before we go. Anyone and post your questions in the comments right now. We'll stick around for another 5 minutes, Swan. Yes.
Okay.
Like, I've got a question for you. Would you do another NFT if I could come up with a good idea?
Me?
Yeah.
Of course. I'm ready to go. I'm fucking about already on there.
Oh yeah, listen, what have you been up to? Can you say what you've been auditioning for? Or are you bound to oath you can't talk about it?
I can't.
You can't talk about it.
I'll give you a clue. Hang on.
No, don't get into trouble. If you didn't know, Simon is an actor and he's been auditioning for just the coolest film. Just the coolest film. Oh, snap!
Matrix. It's the Matrix.
Snap! They already shot that one.
Oh,
That's not the Matrix.
That's not the Matrix.
I can't. No, I shouldn't say just in case.
No, you shouldn't. You
But
absolutely.
I've also auditioned for some
very
fucking
cool.
rubbish.
Oh my god! You know when we were looking through Joseph's OpenSea account, it's so clean. It's such a nice collection. If you look through mine, it'd be like the biggest bag of hot garbage in the world.
Mate,
I have so much crap.
That's what I was going to talk to you about. Actually, is people putting in things in your wallet.
Yes, we should talk. We should talk about that because there has been a lot of security bollocks this week, and with good reason. Have you been scared about that?
Yeah, because I've been seeing things in my wallet. I like my wallet to look like it is. We can do it on a show at some point, but how we experience our NFTs. But I don't like going into my wallet and seeing other shit that I haven't put in there. And it says, oh, it's valuable. You own one. Buy now. The 300. I'm like, get the fuck out my wallet. I don't like it.
But you can't. You can't. That's the thing. The issue that has been popping up is that people have been seeing these things and then trying to sell them, or even in one case hiding, although it's difficult to know whether that was the cause of it, but definitely transferring them out. There's malicious code built into them, and that malicious code is then taken over the account and stolen them. So basically the biggest piece of advice is if something weird arrives in your wallet, you can probably hide it if you really, really have to, but the best thing to do is just not touch it.
Yeah.
And if you want to curate your collection, there are other ways to do it. I think we should cover those in a future show, but there's definitely other ways to set up a gallery where you can actually showcase your collection, and these are the ones you want to showcase. But yeah, I mean, I get airdropped all sorts of crap all the time, and I don't want it. All right, it's time to close off.
You didn't even answer a question. So what do you think about the End project?
Well, what do I think about the End project?
Numbers
I like it. They're you can plug them into Treasure. They're building some cool and fun stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's a black JPEG with a bunch of numbers on it. I mean, well, yeah, fill in the gaps, please. NFT, suggest a project for someone who's an absolute beginner. Well, we covered Crypto Noobs on the show a few weeks back. It's run by Sven NFT, who I spoke to yesterday, in fact, and his ambition is to build kind of an early adopter kind of platform for people just taking their first steps in NFTs.
Very affordable as well.
Sven knows a lot of NFTs, and they're actually super cute as well. So Crypto Noobs definitely would be one to take a look at because the community is good and the artwork's fun. Pumpermetti, sir. No idea what he's talking about. So listen, Swan, it's time for these two aging English pods.
I've got a message from Alp here.
Can I send you tennies?
Yeah, I think you should.
I refer the right honourable gentleman to the stream in which we talked about the Bored Ape that he received and sold too soon.
Ha! Loser! Also, well done, Alf, you got a few sherbets out of that. You got a few sherbets, and I hope they tasted nice.
All right. Mr. Alp, will you play us out for the finale of the NFT show? It's been a pleasure having you all on the stream. Thank you so much for sticking around. We hope it was useful for you. And play the music.